Oh
I
my
think
God.
what comes,
And my recording wasn't going. Okay. Of course it wasn't.
I think what
Sorry.
comes up for me in this process is one, A, you have to have a database, right? B, you your database needs to be orderly enough that you can identify who your an inch wide and mile deep clients are, as well as who your, an inch deep and a mile wide clients are. And that is, there are going to be some people that we're going to market to and hope that they pop, but there's going to be the people in our life, our A list, or however you want to categorize them, that you can be that person to, right? And just identifying the people in your world, in your database, who are going to be the people that you're going to spend a lot of your time with, and a lot of your energy, both emotionally and everything else with. And there's also going to be people that we're going to more passively market to, and just kind of
Right.
getting real clear on who those people are in your world.
Exactly. So being more purposeful intentionally with somebody that's already in our database, and then also being more purposeful with people who are not in our database now. And also marrying those two together, and perhaps those are the same people. Or maybe there's a few like communities that you find in your database and you want to pour into them. The past few classes that I've been teaching have all been about identifying your niche market and then pouring into your community. That is also lead generation. So once you figure out your ideal buyer and seller persona, then you're going to understand clearly how to speak their language. That's it. It's just the power of language. And then, really, the next step is rekindling the passion for exploring ways to lead generate through them. Whether that be leveraging technology and social media, maybe it's really refining your lead capture and nurturing through your systems that you have with command, and also finding some automation through your lead generation tasks. See, we could talk about a goal in mind, but then not stay purposeful with how we're getting into action. Because that's really the next thing, is then getting into action. You're going to identify your ideal client. Then you're going to be able to speak to them clearly because you know who they are. Then you're going to rekindle that passion around how to really support those conversations, whether you're communicating through email, text messaging, Facebook, social media, and any kind of automation that's occurring in the back end and command. Okay. The next thing is really the importance of your branding, whether that's online or print. So digital or print marketing is huge. And do you see how this all is marrying together? So who is your person? That conversation that you're going to have with them, then you're going to brand yourself that way. And you're going to put yourself out there on the web that way. And you're going to deliver marketing materials that way. Same voice, same concept, same person. Make sense? So it's really showcasing your expertise and being authentic about it. And I think authenticity in this conversation is huge with lead generation and loving it again. Because for those of you who feel like you're not loving lead generation, is perhaps because you're not being authentic with yourself about why you're not loving it. Who are you talking to? What's not working? And if you're not getting real with yourself, then maybe the authentic conversation needs to be with yourself. Make sense? All right. So you're going to build that trust through your expertise and showcasing your expertise in your marketing, both digital and print, through your conversations and who you are and to your audience. Let's get into the next thing, which is networking and referral strategies. So the power of word of mouth is huge. How many here always tell a friend about an experience that you had when it was amazing? I do all the time, right? So like I went to that new restaurant, what's it called? My neighbor Felix. It's a new restaurant that just came out in Colorado. There's one in Denver, and then one just popped up in Centennial. And the Centennial location is very well known. You could see it from I-25, right? And I mentioned it to somebody in my friend network, And they're like, oh yeah, I've heard about that restaurant. It's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, it was so good. We had such a great time. It's beautiful inside. The service was amazing. The food was excellent. We have great margaritas. Our word of mouth is huge, you guys. And you guys are getting that right now, either in a good way or a bad way in this industry. So, how are you providing an experience in such a way that your clients are talking about you to their friends? See, old school marketing and old school branding 101 is this. I'm going to tell 10 friends in my inner circle of what my experience was like, whether that be good or bad. 10 people. You have the power right now to be that person, to be that experience, which is your brand, which is you. First impressions are everything. Don't forget that. That was my first impression at my neighbor, my Felix, my neighbor Felix, or whatever it's called. I'm gonna say it backwards. Got it? Because that was the experience that I owned, and that was the experience that I had. And I told so many people within my circle. I even told my parents, I don't even live here in California. Don't forget about how that word of mouth can spread outside of state. This is how you're building trust through your online presence. So encouraging that same voice within your marketing, both digitally and bringing authenticity to who you are, is also being a part of that lead generation topic and being passionate about it. Show passion. If you're not showing passion, people don't believe you. If you're feeling like you're not being passionate, then that's why you're burning out. And that's why you're not loving lead gen. So getting really down to the nitty gritty, like I said, step one is mind shift. I'm going to go over this again real quick. So step one is mindset matters. Number two is understanding your target audience, which we discussed. Number three is rekindling that passion. So exploring those innovative ways to lead gen through your technology, command, online, leveraging social media, and then being effective with your lead capture. And then number four is building a strong personal brand. So building that presence and showcasing your expertise for that person, for your target audience, and building trust online. Don't post and ghost. We've talked about that before in a couple of my classes. Get out of your head about posting. There's so many people out there that are like, oh, hate Facebook. The consumer doesn't care. The consumer wants a real estate agent who they can like, trust, and know to hire them. Right? Yeah. So sometimes we get in our heads. This is where we get paralyzed. Get into action. Be consistent with your online brand. And then the next one was networking and referral strategy. So the power of word of mouth we discussed, and then cultivating relationships with past clients. I'll tell you a quick story. This hopefully will be inspiring to you. I was coaching a Keller Williams agent in Florida. He does about 300,000 in GCI every single year, and he's burned out on lead generation. And I said, well, are you using command? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, well, do you have a system or do you have a touch on your database? He goes, Leslie, why would I want to talk to my database? Like, this is a real conversation. It's like, I don't want to talk to my database. Database doesn't want to hear from me. I'm like, yes, I do. I go, why don't you do this? Conversation went longer. I'll take out the drama, but I'll add the point to this conversation is consistency over time will get you the results that you want. And so I offered to have him place some monthly neighborhood nurture to send out some automated text messages to his database to create a system. And he did. Within 1 week, our next conversation was, hey, Mike, I'm not going to give you his last name. Did you do the things that I told you to do? He said, yes. And Leslie, I think I should hire you. I was like, why? He goes, because you told me what to do. I didn't want to do it. I decided to do it. I put a system on my database and I found a listing in my database for $4 million. I go, okay, so this works, right? I'm not just making it up. And so now he's working his database in a different way. So see, for his scenario, he had been in the industry for so long, and yet he wasn't using, for him, an opportunity was to put systems and models on his database, which he wasn't doing. And now he's probably going to make 400,000 next year because now he has a system and model around his database and he knows how to talk to them now. Cool. Okay. So the power of word of mouth, cultivating relationships with past clients, which was a story about Mike. He did, and he got a listing out of it. Leveraging networking events and associations. So how are you leveraging any event within those communities that you love, getting back to your ideal client, and then communicating around that event? That is lead generation. Who doesn't love to go to an event? Who doesn't love to go to a party? Okay, maybe some introverts. I know there's some introverts out there. I myself can be a little introverted. And yet, in order to get the results we want, we're going to have to step out of our comfort zone, right? Okay. So leveraging networking events and associations are key to lead generating and having more conversations. And those events have a lot to do with your passion. Don't be in an event that's not something that you're passionate about. People won't believe you. Right? You want to show up authentically because that's how we connect as human beings. If you're not your authentic self and I can't connect with you, there's no relatable points. I don't know why I would hire you then. Yes. Okay. What comes up for you? I need a little water break. What are you present to right now in this conversation? I'm having a lot of hemming, a lot of hotting. I'm seeing this. Yeah.
I would just I would say that it's and this is slightly related, and I think it kind of ties into your story with Mike, is that people do want to hear from you. You help them through a huge transaction in their life, probably, or they're in your database for some reason. And I think that especially in this market that we're going into, people are curious about real estate and they want to know, is the stuff that they're hearing about on the tube, is that what's actually happening in their market? Because sometimes people, and so I think that, get it out of your head that people don't want to hear from you. They want a local opinion of what's happening in the market, and if it can be a conversation, it's better than just an email.
Yep.
And then I would say, number 2 and number 3 is that getting deals from your database are going to be your highest margin, easiest start on the 50-yard line deals. And so, I mean, if you're not crushing your database, it needs to be top of your priority. And then number 3, like you said, you can do things that you like and love. You can have events and spend time with people, and that it can be lead generation as long as you're intentional about how you're going to be getting the deals from those events. And that's the biggest thing I've seen, is that people will put out a lot of marketing, and I probably fall prey to this myself, marketing or prospecting, but they're not asking the questions that actually get them a step closer to the deal. They're not moving their people from a conversation into the top of the funnel and top of the pipeline. So just make sure that as you're engaging in these marketing and prospecting activities, that you're asking the right questions to know if these people are actually interested in buying or selling real estate over the next 1 to 12 months.
That's right. And I feel like we're also I love that you bring up asking the right questions, because I like to call those a 10. So who do you have in your pipeline now that's a 10? A 10 can be somebody who is ready, willing, able. They've raised their hand, they said yes, and they've also been pre-approved. Okay. Those are the type of people that you want to move up in your pipeline so that you can get them to the closing table sooner. So I always say, go back to your database and see what kind of conversations you've already had. Who have you said that are like hemming and hawing about actually making a decision? And maybe you're the person to help them make that decision because they're ready. They just don't feel confident in making the decision quite yet because of the market this, or the timing of the market that, and this and the interest rates of this reason, right? Because we all know that that's really occurring right now. So little tidbit here, pick up the shift book. Okay. And you're going to read tactic. Tactic number 4, which is find the motivated. So tactic number 4 is find the motivated. And then also tactic number 9 is creating urgency and overcoming buyer reluctance. For anybody who's dealing with sellers, tactic number 7 is seller pricing strategies. Those are really good to have those conversations around timing the market and that graph where it says, go ahead, time the market. And nobody can, because they can't time when you're going to stop the pencil. They can't. It's either down or up. So go read those tactics. All right, perfect. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for sharing. Anybody else want to share before we continue? Has this been beneficial so far? You finding value? Yes. Okay, good. Tracking and measuring success. I think this is something that we forget to do. It's a little bit like, okay, I got a win, now move on. Why did you get that win? How did you get that win? Who is that person? Where did you find them? How did they find you? Are you asking yourself, are you taking down notes? Where did you win in the transaction? Where did you fail? How are you tracking your success through those sort of situations with both buyers and sellers? And why aren't you replicating what you won? Yeah. Because I think that's where lead generation falls short. We think, oh, great, I have a win. Now let's move on and go throw a net over here and then throw a net over there and then make my calls for whoever it is. Be purposeful. How are you tracking and measuring your success? Who is your ideal client? Who are you talking to? How are you trying to reach them? How are you trying to talk to them? How are you learning their language? When is their next step in their next life journey? Are you talking about that? So the key performance indicators for lead generation, write them down, also known as KPIs. And then tools for tracking and measuring your success, you have Command. You have ways to remind yourself through task notifications, KW Command app. If you're not using it, start using it. Set your day up for success with time blocking and calendar blocking. And even time blocking for taking breaks. Yes, I said it. Time block for taking breaks. Time block for eating a lunch. Time block because you've got to fill up yourself in order to be truly authentically passionate about the conversation that you're about to have next. And I think that's where burnout happens, especially if you've been in the industry for a while. You're lead generating. It's exhausting, right? And so then you forget about what you need. So how are you tracking and measuring success for all the activities that you're up to every day? And then adjusting, this is huge, adjusting your strategy based on the data that you found. See, I think that we forget to adjust the strategy, adjust where we need to adjust. But don't do it too much. Don't overthink it. Don't reinvent the wheel over and over again, because then you're losing sight of who your ideal client is, who your ideal person is. That's how you lead generate, because it's going to be like a conversation. It's not going to be a script. In fact, we got rid of scripts. They're conversations now. Did you know that? Okay, cool. Overcoming obstacles is next. So dealing with rejections and setbacks, staying motivated and consistent, and seeking support and mentorship. You can't do it alone. So who do you need in your market center now that you can lean on to help support you? To have a coaching conversation. Perhaps it's a coach. Perhaps you need to hire one. Or perhaps you need to join the PC program. Whatever program and support that you need, or a person that you need, go lean in on that person or that program. Because that's what we're all about, training and resources here at KW. Don't underestimate them. Lean into them if you're not. I'm glad that you're here because that shows that you're leaning in. So seek support and mentorship so that you can help you overcome those obstacles. All right, you guys, that was it. Loving to lead gen again, getting really purposeful with your time. I'm going to recap everything that we discussed. First, we discussed mindset because that's where it all begins, right? Mindset matters. Number two, understanding your target audience. Number three, rekindling the passion because you know who you're talking to now, and be passionate about it and leverage technology and social media and all those effective ways to communicate both digitally and by print. Number four is building a strong persona, rather, building a strong personal brand. So, how are you branding yourself online? Showcasing your expertise to that target audience, being consistent and authentic. Number five is networking and referral strategies. Talk to your past clients. They want to hear from you. Be that local expert. Like Daniel said, they're so weary about what the media is saying. Be the economist of choice. Be, do, have. It's a bold law, right? And then number six, tracking and measuring success. Number seven is overcoming obstacles by learning how to fail forward. Find the support that you need through a coach, training program, class, whoever or whatever it is, to fill that gap and that void so you are the expert, and so that the consumer will trust you, know you, like you, hire you. All right, everyone. I'm so happy that you joined. I'm going to open this now up for questions and answers. What do you have for me?
Leslie, thank you. This was great. I'm sorry I'm a disembodied voice. I'm feeling a little under the weather, so I didn't feel like camera ready.
That's me right now, Robin. No worries. No worries.
I wanted to ask for, I guess, some ideas here. So I'm really thinking about this whole idea of, just kind of doing what you love, right? Or finding a
Yes.
community you love
Yes.
and using that, for lead gen, basically,
Yep.
right? And so my passion, I love dancing. I love partner dancing, country and Latin.
Cool.
And I
Yeah.
dance at this like dance hall, older crowd. I love them. Um, and it's, they know me, they like me, they trust me, right? But
Yep.
they do know I'm in real estate, but I like, you know what I mean? I haven't done anything like targeted at all, right? And I'm just curious. I'm like, how do I do that? Like how do
Just
I
get into
turn that into
action.
lead gen?
You get into action, Robin. You let them know what else you do. Have an authentic conversation. Put them in your database and send them a newsletter once a month or whatever it is.
Okay, so maybe just because that's one
Yeah,
thing, I
you
don't
gotta
even
get.
have their email addresses. So I guess that's a start. Like, hey, can I get your email address? I'd love to send you da 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 da.
I would love to send you updates on our next dance classes, the next dance events that I'm participating in, and everything else that I'm up to. I also like to put you on a holiday card list because I really love sending out holiday cards, whatever it is, to tie them back into your database and let them know you're.
Okay.
Don't have a limiting belief that they don't want to know that. You have a perfect opportunity to pour into that community right now and get tons of referrals. In fact, what I'm going to do for everybody here on this call, because it really supports this conversation, is I'm going to share you this video. Make sure this doesn't play. So I just had the honor to interview Jason Abrams with Nick Baldwin about just the top 6 things that he's learned of what the top 500 agents are doing at a high level. A lot of them is immersive farming, pouring into communities. You're going to hear a lot about that in that video. Watch the whole thing. It's so good. Because he talks about somebody who like literally started a walking club because she wanted to lose weight, and she empowered all the people around her to start walking with her, and that's where she gets all of her real estate business from.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of like bridging the gap too, right? Like
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I know so many people, but then do you know what I'm saying? I'm not like, I don't
You're
know.
not
I'm
letting
not
them
like,
know. who your other person is.
And can I jump in?
Yes.
So Robin, this is essentially demographic farming, right? You're wanting to run a demo farm with your dance club. That's your group. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would say a couple of things. And this could be for a church group, it could be for any group that you might be
Mm-hmm.
participatory in. And I know it might cost a little bit of money, but see if there's an opportunity for you to sponsor something. And this could be an event, maybe you bring in a dinner or drinks or something along those lines. Maybe you begin by offering an opportunity to put together a dance list, or the dances that are happening in the area outside of your guys' current club. You got to find maybe a way to add some value. And so I bring lunch to the sheriff's department about once a month. A different group of guys or officers, law enforcement officers that I bring. And I usually will have a drawing, and I'll say, hey, to sign up for the drawing, go ahead and fill out that card that I've given you. But I want to let you know that when you fill this out, you are going to go onto my marketing list. And let me tell you what that is. And I'm just very transparent with them what it is. You're going to get an email a month from me, maybe a couple of holiday greetings, a couple of phone calls a year. I promise to try not to spam you, but I just want to make sure that you're getting good, relevant local information. And most people don't unsubscribe. Some do. Some join they put their information down on the card. They win the $25 gift certificate. I put them into the database. I follow up with them. Sometimes they ignore me. Sometimes they unsubscribe, but a vast majority of them don't. And so, yeah, just don't have a limiting belief around it, but find a way to bring value to the group, whether it's in the niche or whether it's just food. And people will respond positively to you contributing. And so come from contribution, right? And then you'll kind of earn the right to put them in the database and then communicate with them both about the hobby that you share, as well as the local real estate market. And I think it's a great niche.
Thank you. I like that. I like that a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, find a way to bring value to the group. You actually made me think of, I used to live in Albuquerque, and they have the greatest social dance scene ever. And there's like a neighborhood, not a neighborhood, there's a group around social dancing. They have over 1,000 members, and they do like a monthly newsletter. And I know the founders. I'm like, God, we could really use that in Denver. Now I'm kind of thinking, well, why don't I just partner with some people here and get that
Yeah.
started,
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife and I used to take dance lessons in our studio. They would constantly be putting out, hey, we're gonna go do this social dance at wherever, the Broadmoor Latin Club or Latin Quarters, whatever it is. And so you just got to be that person who organizes the dancers for, yes, things that are happening in your small group, but also for things that are around town.
I love it.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Seriously. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for helping each other. I love that. All right, you guys. Well, I am going to end class. That was a good class, right? You guys take a lot of value out of it, I hear. I'm getting a lot of thank yous in the chat, direct messaging from you guys. So I love that you guys took a lot of value out of this. I'm going to put this recording up to our KW regional tech training classes. And you can kind of see and feel that there's a lot of talk. I do talk about technology, and yet I also talk about real estate strategy. So it's just something that I offer, because it's not just about Command, but I also teach Command too, because that is my specialty as a MAPS tech coach, as well as your RTT. Feel free to reach out to me anytime at lesliejackson@kw.com, and it's LESLEY. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you again, Daniel. It was really good to see you, and lots of familiar faces and new ones. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.